What's up, guys? Welcome back to Engine25 Reviews. This is a show where I invite friends, colleagues, academics, filmmakers, others who are just generally way funnier, smarter, or more qualified than me, and we chat about movies, TV shows, and nerd out about stuff we think is cool. If you like that, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and tell your friends. Try my best to get episodes out at least every other week, usually on Sundays. But if you ring that bell, you'll never miss one. We're available on YouTube as a video and as an audio podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public, with hopefully more to come. Just search Engine25 Reviews on your favorite service, no space in Engine25, or hit one of the links in the notes down below. My name is Brandon. I'm your host. You can find me at Engine25 on all the things. Sometimes there's an underscore at the end. Today we're talking about Blue Beetle, but before we get there, I want to introduce my guest for the day. We have regular guest Wesley Beetle from the Viewist Productions YouTube channel. What's going on with you, Wesley?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. Been seeing a lot of movies lately. The summer's finally slowing down, but yeah, I just caught Blue Beetle the other day. I got to see Talk to Me, and it's pretty wild.
I know, I still need to see that.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. I saw Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is pretty okay.
I still need to see that.
Weirdly, it's kind of some similarities with this movie in that they're both kind of just like exactly what you expect them to be.
Yeah. I know we both saw Turtles, and I loved Turtles. So it's like
too.
incredible.
Yeah, and I wanted to do an episode about that, but like it's the schedule didn't work out. But I really, it was so funny. Just like the dialogue in it is so sharp, and the Turtles are actually teenagers, and just like I love the vibe and the art style. Like this,
the animation was incredible, and then they really like leaned into the teenage aspect and the mutant aspect, and it was like all the better for it.
The voice cast is awesome. Dude, I had a great time. Like, I am so thrilled to say that we are, I'm in my 30s now. Ninja Turtles was the last time it was good. Well, I don't know. There's been some cartoons I haven't seen, admittedly.
Yeah, same.
There's a lot of cartoons along the way, but like we haven't gotten a legitimately good Turtles movie since the early 90s. And this is great. Like it's definitely aimed at kids. And that, which is fine. No big deal there. Like, I found lots of stuff to laugh at. But my only criticism of it is like the ending is kind of like we talked about this. Like it kind of tells kids to do the right thing and you'll be rewarded, not to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and that kind of, I don't think it was the right way to wrap it up was all, but also I'm not a writer. I enjoy the movie. It's great. Go see Ninja Turtles, take your kids. They'll freaking love it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see it again. I know that there was that other animated Turtles movie that was in theaters, like, was it maybe like 2010-ish? The one that's just called TMNT?
That was 2007. No, and I remember that one clearly because we went with a huge group. Oh, are you still with me? Okay, yeah. You locked up for a second, but as long as you can still hear me. Yeah. We went with a big group and we went after and that one's fine. It's like the voice cast is good. It's got like Patrick Stewart and Kevin Smith.
I remember liking that one, all right. But I remember also going with a big group in college to go see the first Michael Bay Turtles movie. And for some reason, I didn't see who picked the theater, and they chose a 3D one. And we spent like so much money. This was like pre-A-list and pre-movie pass, all of that. Oh, yeah. So we spent literally probably like $30 to see Michael Bay Ninja Turtles. And I was like, why do we do this?
The things I liked about that one are few. I will say that I actually thought Mecha Shredder was a lot less lame than I expected. But I liked that the Turtles are too big. They're like big monster, like hulking monster guys, and I don't like that. But I do like that they're different. You can tell them apart without their masks on. Like, I love that they decorate themselves. Each turtle has a style. But the Mutant Mayhem movie is actually good, and it also does all of that. So good for them.
That's my favorite animated movie of the
I mean, that's a thing to say in a year where you locked up against scratching your nose. That's a thing to say in a. I wonder if it's my internet being weird. I'm going to start over for the third time. That's a thing to say in a year where we got it Across the Spider-Verse, but you said you weren't. You liked it, but like weren't as big a fan of that one.
Yeah, I like Across the Spider-Verse, but I don't think I was going nuts for it the same way everybody else was. It was.
I mean, I don't think it's as tight as the first one is. You know, like it's a little. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But
yeah, that movie made me feel like an old man because I was like, I can't hear what anyone is saying, and my eyes hurt from all of this color. I mean, it's very impressive to be sure, but like. It's a lot, and it was kind of what I was worried about from the trailers. I was like, I feel like it's going to get muddled, and there's just going to be like too much happening, and that's kind of how I felt. But
you know, I don't think that's an unfair criticism. Like, I definitely think it didn't need to be 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever. At least not with the story that they told. Like but. You know, like just the mixing of the art styles and the voice cast is incredible. And I saw the end coming pretty early, but I think it's still pretty effective.
Now they're pissing me off with all of these like changes that they made where there was like apparently 2 different versions in theaters. And then the version that's coming out on digital is different than what was in theaters. And I'm like, just figure it out. This sounds sloppy now.
You're not right. It's not Clue. That's not like the draw. It's weird. We're here to talk about Blue Beetle.
Yes.
Before we get into Blue Beetle, there's one other thing I want to touch on. It's here in the run of show if you see it. How have you felt about recent DC movies or the DCFU in general? You know, so like I still think, as a Superman guy, like I still think there's a lot to like about Man of Steel. When they allow Henry Cavill to play Superman, it's always wonderful, but you know, he's always like dark and angry and broody, and that just doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, what about ones that have come out in the last year? And like, frankly, I just didn't have life has been complicated and I haven't had time to review much stuff. But like Black Adam came out about a year ago and it was a mess. And then everyone was talking about how great The Flash was going to be. And it definitely has its moments, but it's kind of a mess. And they all have a third act problem. Just like all of these DC movies, even the good ones, even like Wonder Woman, which I adore that movie. Like it's just got a big third act problem. And The Flash does too. And, you know, it was great to see Michael Keaton back. Ezra Miller, you know, take them or leave them. They have some stuff going on in their personal life, but their performance was enjoyable for the most part. I thought so too. Yeah. You know, but it's how are you feeling about DC right now? Like I'm waiting for James Gunn to just wipe it clean. Like,
yeah, that's kind of my thing. Is like the Snyder cult online is very much like rooting for James Gunn to fail, but I'm like, he's so proven that I'm like, the low-key the best DC movie of this whole like chunk of time is James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Like that's kind of the best one.
I would say that the Batman is worthy of a conversation. It's not in the same universe.
That too, yeah.
But like that was the last one that we reviewed, the last DC movie we reviewed on this show, and it's certainly not the last DC movie that's come out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so like, I will go see most things. Like I will go see some bullshit in theaters, but I still have not seen Black Adam.
See the Meg? Oh, it did so bad.
I saw the Meg 2 opening weekend, but I have not seen Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and I have not seen Black Adam. But I really liked Flash. Like I understand why they thought like, oh, we have like a crowd pleasing like mega hit.
You know, and again, like the Flash absolutely like has a lot of good stuff going for it. There's also a lot of bullshit.
I mean, the CGI looks like complete dog shit. Like it's really, really bad.
They totally wasted Michael Shannon. Michael Keaton's really great, but you know, it's just it's weird.
Yeah. If you improve the CGI and you get rid of all of the cameos from like dead people, then that movie's like kind of a banger. And I even still like had a really good time with it and thought it was I think I probably liked the Flash more than I liked Blue Beetle, but Blue Beetle somehow has the better CGI and like looks 10 times better as far as looks go. It looks a lot crisper and not as ugly.
Yeah, like I'd agree with that, and we'll talk about Blue Beetle in detail. Obviously, that's why we're here. But
yeah,
I think Blue Beetle is a more consistent movie than the Flash was, but probably, I think the heights of the Flash are probably better than anything we got in Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I know some people were like upset with like, I don't know, the DC fans get so caught up in like little things. They're like, what? So George Clooney is just going to be Batman now? And I'm like, I don't think so. But it was really funny. Like, can't something just be funny? And they're like, no, but we almost got this Batman in this suit and this thing from the comics to do this. And it's like the things that almost happen. And it's like, as somebody who's not as well versed in all of the comics, I'm like, I don't know how that transfers to a good movie. Like, good because it was in the comics does not mean good movie.
Not everything has to be connected, and it's okay if it's not.
That's kind of my other thing. I almost wish they would just do solo, like separate things, because their biggest hits have probably been the Batman and Joker, and those weren't connected to anything. Those
both made a ton of money. Like Joker, especially because that was pre-pandemic, but like the Batman wasn't too shabby. All right, one more question before we get down to Blue Beetle more in detail. But how bad is Aquaman 2 going to be? Like,
it's got to be terrible. Well, it's crazy that they haven't shown us.
They haven't shown anything. And at the moment, some other stuff got delayed, but I think Aquaman's still supposed to come out in December.
Yeah, I mean I don't like the first Aquaman, and that was the one that everybody was like, "This is actually the good DC movie. Like, this one's actually good." And I remember seeing it and being like, I don't understand. This feels like more of the same, and it feels maybe even worse than some of the others. But people seem to love it.
It's not good, but I love it. And that is because, like Jason Momoa, I love Jason Momoa in just about anything. I'm an Aquaman guy, like Aquaman and Black Manta. Like I'm a big fan just of them specifically. I'm down for anything underwater. Like, it's big, it's dumb, it's ridiculous, but like I had a great time with it. I've watched it a couple of times since, and I'm like, I don't hate this. It's too long. Yet another like what are this craze where every movie has to be 2.5 hours. That's not true. But like like if with a little bit of editing, like it could have been totally fine. Like it's not good, but I enjoy it.
I don't think I've rewatched a single one of these DC movies. Like even the ones I've liked, I don't think I've gone back to watch any of them. There's some I've wanted to, like the Batman. I definitely need to rewatch, but these other ones, like even Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, I'm like,
I mean, if any of them really deserves more attention, it's the first Wonder Woman. 1984, Wonder Woman 84 is garbage, but that first one is a really like sweet, really thoughtful movie. Again, has some problems with the ending and the third act, but you know, overall, like Gal Gadot is awesome. Chris Pine is awesome. It's fantastic. That's
why I didn't feel that crazy about them bringing back Gal Gadot apparently that's not happening, but there was that rumor going around that she was going to be coming back in James Gunn's universe, which is stupid because it's like, if you're going to reboot it. But at the same time, I was like, if you had to pick somebody, I kind of get it, because that first movie, I still think kind of looms larger than some of the others. Like, I think people were totally like, that one is good, even though she's phoned it in every time she's like shown up as her like since then, pretty much. But
all right, well, that
DC Wonder Woman is pretty good.
Figure out and like honestly, I would say Marvel has gotten the cameo fever. Like that having a bunch of people show up in your movie for 90 seconds is not how you do a shared universe. That's not good.
Deadpool 3 is about to be like. I said
party.
That thing in the thing in the Flash where they show all the like dead people and this and that. Deadpool 3 is going to make that look tame and restrained in comparison. But I think I might give it more leeway because it'll probably be more of like a straight up comedy, like just goofing. But we'll see.
Okay, so we're 15 minutes in. We're actually going to talk about Blue Beetle now. Okay, so Blue Beetle is based on the DC Comics property. Long time comic book character, goes way back, just like kind of most of them, honestly. Blue Beetle released on August 18th, 2023. It was directed by Angel Manuel Soto and written by Gareth Dunnett Alcocer. I apologize for the pronunciation there. Gareth Dunnett Alcocer, I think. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes. As a reported budget of $104 million. That's after an increase made during production because they upgraded the movie from an HBO Max original to a theatrical release. As of today, August 20th, 2023, it has earned $43 million, according to Box Office Mojo, and has pushed Barbie out of the #1 spot for the first time in 4 weeks.
Wow.
But Barbie is, of course, another Warner Brothers release. And it's the biggest movie of the year. Well, actually, I don't want to make that claim because I'm not certain if it's past Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it has yet.
But
it's on its tails for sure.
I wouldn't say $43 million is a great opening. But also, like, considering that it's that's worldwide. It's 25 domestically, 43 million worldwide, but against a budget of only 104 million, and then probably, like, I don't think that they would have marketed this one as big as they would a huge movie. So it's probably 50 to 100 additional on the marketing side of things. And that's just speculation. I don't have numbers, obviously, but like with. It could.
Did even Flash open stronger?
If it ends up having legs, like, it doesn't have a lot of competition coming up, so it might just based on that budget, it might actually end up turning a profit. It's hard to say right now. The Flash, how did the Flash do?
Yeah, I know they just had like the last. The final total for it, but also it may have, don't quote me on it, but it may have opened stronger than Blue Beetle.
It did. Domestic only opening 55 million. Worldwide total now 268, 533, and that's terrible based on how much that movie costs. But, just the fact that
Blue Beetle might be doing better just because it didn't cost us much.
No, exactly. Like, it might, Blue Beetle might make some money just because it was made for a responsible amount of money, and they didn't reshoot it 37 times like they did with half of The Flash.
That's so nuts because it looks so much better. The Flash looks like diarrhea at certain points, and like Blue Beetle.
Oh god,
Blue Beetle looks pretty good. Like, the suit the whole time looks pretty on point and everything.
I agree. That there, and I like the look of the flying bug vehicle. Anyway, let's remember for this first segment, try to keep it spoiler free. But what did you think of the movie overall?
I thought it was really fun. I mean, it's very, like we were talking before, it's very paint by numbers. It's very, like, basic. There's not too much going on. You kind of know what you're going to get, and that's fine, but we've gotten stuff like this a lot, so it's not really reinventing the wheel, but it is fun. For the most part.
I agree with that. Like, it's definitely kind of cookie cutter as far as superhero movies go, but there's not really anything not much about it that's just like actively bad.
Yeah.
It's, and I agree too. Like, the action scenes are really fun. Joel Mardueña he's got the charisma. He's very funny.
Yeah.
It's just like, reminds me of like early 2000s superhero movies before we figured out what superhero movies could really be. like the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, or like the first Iron Man, or like that first Daredevil movie isn't very good, but it's kind of like, I would put it in the same basket. Just like, now that we've had in the last 15 years, 100 superhero movies. Or it seems like it. This one just like it struggles to stand out, but it's also like I said, it's fun and that there's nothing like actively bad about it.
The things that I liked, I wish there were more of. Like,
sure.
I like that when he transforms his suit, like that first transformation sequence is like gross and like kind of scary.
Yeah,
I wish there was more stuff like that.
The family's there, like witnessing it, and they freak out, and that's the thing I definitely want to talk about because I love the family dynamic in this movie. Like if there's anything that really works, it's because it's that. First of all, like the Latino representation in this movie is fantastic, and that showcases a lot of wonderful Latino actors, including Jolo Maridueña. I love him from Cobra Kai.
I didn't realize he was in that because I haven't watched it, but I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, I don't know this kid. Apparently so. That's what people
so
say.
Good, dude. Like it's definitely over the top, but like in like a fun way. No, Cobra Kai is great.
This kid was awesome though. He was really selling it, and I was like, oh, he's got charisma. He's like, he feels like a movie star in the making for sure.
Yeah, again, I keep comparing it to that first Spider-Man movie, but like, Tobey Maguire had been on some TV. He's been in a couple of movies. But like this Spider-Man made him a star, and like with the sequels, like everyone knows Tobey Maguire now, even though he doesn't do a lot of acting and like it anymore. And like, and I think that, Jolo, if this movie got a sequel or if he comes up somehow in the James Gunn universe, which sounds like it's possible, but who fucking knows, because nothing about that makes sense right now. Like, I want more Jolo as this character, as Jaime Reyes. It's, who knows if we're going to get it? Like, I think the sequel to this movie could be really good. I
think this might have good word of mouth. I think it might have legs, even if it doesn't like get huge in theaters. I could see people. Yeah, but like
if this movie makes the 250, 300 ish that The Flash made, then that's because of the budget, like that'll be great. Like, and then it'll only make more money on VOD. I can't just talk about how much I loved, or I can't talk enough about how much I love George Lopez in this movie. He's nuts.
He's the like best part of this entire movie.
Like a Dale Gribble, like paranoid of the government. Like he's George Lopez is hilarious, and he looks ridiculous. He's got like a mullet and that crazy beard.
I saw it in a pretty packed theater. It was more full than I thought it was going to be. And like any time he did anything, even if he's like screaming off screen, like the whole theater was like blowing up with laughter. Everyone was loving him.
I went to like the first screening on Saturday morning. It was at like 10:30, and there were me and 4 other people. And I chalked that up to probably just because it was it wasn't even a matinee. It was like the morning show.
Right.
But like he was the only person that ever got any like audible laughter from other people. Like,
yeah, he was great. And George Lopez isn't somebody that I'm normally like, oh yeah, we need more George Lopez. Put him in more movies. But he was kind of blowing me away a little bit. I was like, his vibe was just perfect for this. And he's in it like a good bit too. I was thinking like, oh, they'll probably push him to the side eventually. Like he's not going to be in all of this, but he was pretty much in it throughout. He kind of goes along, which thank God, because he's great.
Okay, I've got a question for you.
What's that?
Elpidia Carrillo. She plays his mother. What other movie is she in? Do you know?
I have no idea.
She is the woman from the original Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She's the refugee that they find with all the like the gorilla guys in the jungle.
Dang.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, no, I was like, is that her? And I looked it up, and it totally is. She's the one who like knew stuff about the predator because the alien comes and hunts in the jungle periodically. No, yeah, it's very cool.
Dang. I should look at the filmographies for like all of the family, because I bet a few of them have probably been in more than we realize.
Who Damian Alcazar plays his father, and I know he was in Prince Caspian. He had a small role in that. What else is he in? There's a lot of Spanish titles here that I can't read, and also likely haven't seen before.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they maybe have like some big hits like elsewhere.
He's in a lot of TV. Yeah. Oh, he was in Narcos, and that's a blind spot for me. I've always meant to check out Narcos, but I haven't watched it. Anywho.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked too was like they did a lot of references to like Mexican like TV shows especially, and
telenovelas.
Some of them were like lost on me, but I almost liked that even more because it felt more authentic, and it was like it really felt like even if I didn't know what they were referencing exactly, you pick up on it, and it's still funny, and it feels more like true to life than if they had been more like vague, or if they'd been like, oh, take that out, like people aren't going to get that. Like I like that they left stuff like that in there.
Me too.
Like him playing the animation from I know I've seen that little guy in the Bumblebee outfit before, but I don't remember what that's called. Yeah, I've definitely seen it before because there's a lot of merchandise, but yeah, stuff like that was great.
And I do. Who's the actor who plays his sister? Her sister is. Her name is Milagro Reyes in the movie, played by Belisa Escobedo, and she's also really funny and like a really good like. I like them together. They have a funny brother sister dynamic, and they bounce jokes off each other, and it's like I think it really works.
Even like before any Blue Beetle shit happens, like before any like superpower anything happens, I was like, this is kind of nice. This is fun. I would watch a movie that's just like this brother and sister like working at the country club.
Yeah. It's like all the nonsense that they get into with all the rich folk because rich white people are awful. Okay, I do. I want to talk. I also one more. Bruna Marquezine. She plays the kind of the love interest. She's the daughter of Ted Cord, who was a former Blue Beetle. He was the
first, spoilers, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he's a Blue Beetle in the comic books too. But I guess it is. Okay. Yeah. Apologies. That's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, he was the original. I was clueless. Original Blue Beetle in the comic books and the original Blue Beetle here. But anyway, she's. I thought she was fine. She's Yeah,
she wasn't a standout like some of the others. Like the grandma was a standout too. She's great.
Yes, who I want to. Can I find her name quickly? Adriana Barazza plays Nana.
Yeah, she was.
No, she's hilarious. Like, she has some kind of mysterious past as a revolutionary or something.
Yeah. That was a good runner. Like that was always funny. But yeah, the only thing that was like generic was the villains. Like that was the only characters that I was like, I don't care.
That's where I'm going next, and it kind of sucks because the main villain is Susan Sarandon, and I'm like, okay, this could be something like
she's kind of great sometimes, but then really?
she's very one note and just like thinks of everyone as below her, and it's just this. I have to make my weapons because weapons make me money. Like it was just like I don't think she knew what movie she was in. Like it's.
Yeah, she could have gone bigger for sure. I think the way you fix this is you get rid of her, maybe not even get rid of her guy who like suits up and is like the muscle, but I think you put Susan Sarandon in one of those like robot suits.
What?
Boom, much better movie. It would at least be like so off the rails and crazy, and then just let her
it
go.
would definitely
Like
make me laugh.
let her go like crazy how she is in like Enchanted. That's her in Enchanted, right? She's the villain in the first one. Yeah. Let her just like really go like full cartoony and like put her in a mech suit or something. I don't know. That would be my one fix, like to make them more interesting.
Oh no. I closed my my Wikipedia that I'm referencing. There we go. But yeah, like, and then the other guy is Carapax, and he becomes Omac. And he's just like intimidating early on, but he's also just very one note and not that interesting.
And the suit is just like it's like a scrapped Iron Man villain from like one of those
it looks like
movies.
the drones from Iron Man 2. And like they were they were not cool then, and it's not cool now. It's I don't know.
It's just kind of a snooze, and anytime they fight, I was just kind of like, okay, I guess.
There's an interesting story beat with him later in the movie that we'll touch on in the spoilers, but it's
that turned it around for me a little bit.
The villains in this movie are just kind of lame duck, not interesting,
forgettable. They're there because they needed a villain.
We already talked about like production design a little bit. Like I like the look of the suit. Like you can't really. About a year ago, some photos came out of what he looked like on set, and it's just like, and people freak out because, of course, he looks stupid. It's just like, it doesn't. You can't trust set photos because it's always augmented with CGI, or like sometimes they legit like change the look during production. Like this just, but it looked right out of the comic book, and it was like probably a little cartoony, but. I think ultimately it worked for me.
I thought it looked really cool. I was kind of sold on it, and it's kind of crazy that they were able to kind of perfect that, and then like the Flash's suits in the Flash movie all kind of look terrible, but this was like on point.
I don't want to talk about the Flash anymore, other than to say, like, I liked that one of the Barrys literally just took a Batman suit and then painted it with Flash colors. I do like that. It's where I like the look of the Blue Beetle suit. I really liked the bug ship thing that his family flies around on. Like George Lopez somehow knows how to fly.
Yeah, that's like an action figure waiting to happen, or like a Funko Pop ride is just George Lopez, and that would be awesome.
We mentioned that the OMAC guy, his suit looks kind of terrible, but Blue Beetle looks awesome.
Yeah. Did you see they had at AMC, they have the popcorn vessel, but it's like a backpack that you can wear that looks like Blue Beetle's like spine. You wear it and I guess put popcorn in it.
I did not see that. That's interesting.
I don't really feel the need to carry popcorn around on my back, but it did look cool.
Well, so everyone else can eat from behind you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anything else before we talk about spoilers a little bit?
I think I'm ready to dive in. I think that covers most of it.
Okay. Spoiler graphic is up. Warning for audio listeners. Here on out, we are talking about the movie top to bottom. Anything goes. So spoiler alert. We like we said, we both kind of like the movie. It's not perfect, but it's pretty solid. It's just kind of cookie cutter ultimately. But yeah, if you want to see the movie, go do that before you listen to the rest of the podcast. So the plot is very simple. Like the crazy evil lady Susan Sarandon needs to find the Blue Beetle scarab, the device that makes Blue Beetle, so that she can use it to make super weapons. So they find it at the beginning of the movie, and then we cut to Jaime and his family. Jaime's getting back from college. He finds out his family is having some financial troubles, so he gets a job at this swanky country club, where he encounters Susan Sarandon and Jenny Cord, who is the daughter of, we come to find out, the daughter of the previous Blue Beetle, and she or Jaime gets himself
like CEO of the company.
Well, Victoria Cord, Susan Sarandon's the CEO, but Jenny is on the board. On the board,
yeah, and her dad, I guess,
whatever that
her
means.
Her dad was the CEO.
Yeah. So Jaime and his sister both work at the country club, and they get themselves fired. But then Jenny feels bad for them, so she tells Jaime, she gives him her cell phone number, which seems a little like spontaneous. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's how that would go down, but tells him to come to Cord Industries tomorrow to get a job. He does. Some stuff happens. Jenny attempts to steal. She just finds the Blue Beetle scarab, which in the lab, and then attempts to steal it, but she almost gets caught. So she very quickly hands it off to Jaime, and then he runs off home with it in a cheeseburger, in a box for a cheeseburger. And I think that cheeseburger company, Big Belly Burger, I think that's in the comic books. It comes up in a lot of DC comics.
That's kind of cool, because that could have just as easily been like product placement, but if it's from the comics, that's pretty neat. I
mean, it's not like a big thing. It's just like whenever, if somebody's eating a cheeseburger, it's usually a Big Belly Burger. So he takes it home. He's afraid to open it because Jenny told him, whatever you do, just don't look at it, whatever. And then his family convinces him to open it. And then kind of a fun, a little bit scary scene where the Beetle attaches to him. And then we have the Iron Man first flight.
Yeah, first flight scene.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly like that.
It takes him up in the sky, and then he falls, and then he like almost hurts some people, and then blah blah blah. It's all beat for beat, just like.
That was kind of fun though. I like the guys who are like, oh, it hasn't kicked in yet, and then they see all the crazy stuff with the bus, and they're like, oh, I think it just kicked in.
There is no way, like if that thing cut a bus in half, there is no way that he didn't kill somebody or seriously injure someone on the bus.
Yeah. That's kind of a good scene, though. That bus thing, I know we saw it in the trailer, but it feels iconic a little bit. Like, it feels like years from now when you're like, Blue Beetle, like, that's the thing you'll think of, is like, oh, yeah, he cut the bus in half, and that was cool.
I'll give you that. It's probably right. It's probably true. Like, and, we were talking about, like, the look of the suit and stuff, and all the effects here look really good. It's kind of a... it's a scene that we've seen before, just like so much of the stuff in this movie. Jolo is great. He makes everything really funny, but it's cookie cutter, paint by numbers. This is the first time I found out that I have superpowers and I'd have no idea how to use them, and I almost hurt somebody.
I think the only thing that kind of makes this stick out from other ones is like the family being involved in it, because normally, I mean, we're so used to like, oh, I gotta hide it from my family, I gotta hide it from everyone, and they're like all involved.
They're there when it happens the first time
from the beginning. Yeah, which is kind of cool. I like that a lot.
And somehow they seemed like not as freaked out about it as I would anticipate. They're just like, when he comes back, they're just like trying to fix the house, and then he falls through the ceiling again. There's just like, I don't know. It's just they're working on trying to fix some stuff. It's because when he transformed, he kind of wrecked the whole place. But so Jenny comes back, discovers that it has bonded itself to him. And then they're like, okay, so what do we do to get it off? Okay, we have to go back to we have to go back to Cord Industries. Of course we do, because why wouldn't we? And that's where we have our first fight with the Carapax guy, who has like he has some like robotic prosthesis, obviously from some kind of accident that we'll find out about later.
Yeah, I like them like jamming the security signal and trying to steal the stuff out of there. But then
that's
the Carapax fight, I'm like, I guess.
The whole movie, we don't like, they don't even hint that, as much as I love George Lopez, we're now, 40 minutes into this movie, and they haven't once hinted at the fact that he's actually really good with technology. So he just like we know that he's kind of like the suspicious of the government kind of guy, but no, yeah, like he somehow made this machine where he can park next to an industrial security tower. And it's run by just like a gas powered generator, and he turns it on and it jams their security cameras somehow. It's just like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good way to keep him involved and keep him as part of the action, which I wonder if that was always the plan, to always have him all throughout the movie, or if they were like, okay, he's too good. We gotta find more for him to do, which would have been a good choice, because he's great.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, the whole family is really involved during a lot of this. Yeah, and we'll get to that later on. But it's where I think the movie really shines is the family dynamic, and it stays pretty consistent throughout the whole thing, which is great. So they break in and they get this key, and then Jenny takes them back to the abandoned Cord mansion, revealing that her father was the original Blue Beetle, but he could not unlock the Scarab, so he was kind of imitating the Blue Beetle with technology that he designed, which I thought was an interesting twist on it. I don't. Yeah. I'm aware of the Blue Beetle. I know about Ted Cord, and I like Jaime because he was in some New 52 stuff that I read, but certainly not one of my most read characters. So forgive me, comic book people. I don't know if Ted Cord. I'm pretty sure he was using the Scarab in the comic books. So this is just probably a change for the movie. But
you get to see the old suits and all of that.
So the old suits that look like kind of goofy, like they would have if it was like a 1980s or 90s superhero movie. Like they're totally plausible. Like, this is not real world plausible, but they look like they could have been in an old goofy superhero movie, like from back in the day. Yeah. But I always like that kind of stuff, as long as it's not the main design. Jaime suit looks really good.
I would love it if they did like a 60s set, like Blue Beetle or Fantastic Four or something like that, with like retro looking suits. I'd be all about that. But
me too.
Who knows if they would ever go that route.
So we find out some stuff about Ted Cord, and we find out some stuff about Jenny, and none of it's terribly interesting, if you ask me. And then he kind of figures out how to use the suit. Like, right now it's just protecting him because it's not connected to his brain fully yet or whatever. So it's like he has to put himself in danger to activate it, which he does by jumping off the roof, which is probably a terrible idea, but it works.
Because they go back to the house because they see
the helicopter is heading to like the barrio where they live. So he flies over there. Okay. I have a thing about this scene. We know Susan Sarandon's character sucks. She's the big villain. But like, why is she the one in the helicopter. Like, she should be on the radio giving order. Like, what if she gets seen blowing up this neighborhood? Like, there's a 100% chance somebody there has a camera. So it's like, there is like, so there's.
I kind of love that. She's so like, she should have gone bigger with it, but it is kind of funny that it's like old Susan Sarandon is in this helicopter, just like. She's literally the CEO of a company, and she's
telling him to blow up these people's house. Like, it's there. It doesn't make any. That's a character in her position should be smarter than that, in my opinion. It's just like what Lex Luthor would not be in the helicopter. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, but it is wild.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, she can be at HQ with talking to them on a headset, but it's like if she gets seen in the helicopter, then it's all over for her. You know, it's like they would the police would come lock down the tower the next day. Like, I don't know, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Is it the police that are working with her, or is it somebody else? Because we have all those guys in like the SWAT team outfits, which I thought were police, but they could also just be like her army of
because she Cord makes weapons, so like I think that they're her like special security something.
Okay, that would make sense.
Or like maybe she does have the police in her pocket. Like, it doesn't. It's not super clear about that, but like I thought that they were kind of like operatives for her, or like paramilitary.
That would make more sense probably. Yeah, she definitely could have gotten a little like wilder and crazier, but that's a pretty good scene, and then it ends up being a sad scene. But
I missed it before. We found out like during the beginning of the movie when he's having tacos with his family, they're talking about their money troubles. We find out that his father had a heart attack while he was going to college. And then he goes into, did something happen to him? Did I look away? Like because what happens is he goes into cardiac arrest, but like he was like bleeding from did he get hit or something? I don't remember seeing that, but he was bleeding.
I think one of the guys maybe just like hit him with the butt of a gun or something. They smacked him. I can't remember exactly, but something like that happened where his daughter was kind of like, telling them to stop, and they smacked him with something.
He and his daughter are trying to run away, and he collapses. So he had another heart attack, and unfortunately he doesn't make it. But which is just like, how many times have we seen exactly this? Like he gets something happens where that's. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like Uncle Ben legit got shot, and it had nothing to do with but it's the same thing. Like, you know, like your father figure, father figure dies, and then you have to, and whatever. It's a trope. It's a trope that works. Like Batman, and Superman, Spider-Man, they're all based on the same idea. But
and then they even do the Black Panther thing where he comes back later, like in the afterlife, and they talk to each other. Which is fine. I mean, it works, but it's a little heavy-handed. It's the same stuff we've seen, but it's also you got to make it about the family, and I don't know. I also feel like maybe just nobody dies and we have a good time. I don't know.
Do all superheroes' lives have to be terrible? Does that have to be a thing? Moving on. The family, or Jaime, gets captured by this like big claw device, and then Jenny takes the family back to the Cord mansion, and they all like suit up in the Cord tech, and they fly off on this like giant bug ship, which weirdly looks a lot like the owl from Watchmen. Like it's got like two giant eye windows.
Yeah, it's like a mix between that and like the crab mix from Avatar.
Yeah, like with like the crab legs or the bug, the insect legs.
Yeah.
So they go to rescue Jaime from this like island compound. They're trying to extract the Blue Beetle data or whatever from from the scarab attached to Jaime, and it's like probably going to kill Jaime or whatever. But as it's happening, he connects to the scarab fully, and it wakes him up, and then it like allows him to communicate with his father in the afterlife, or maybe it's a big hallucination, or who knows? It's like, it's not really clear, but it's just like when, with great power comes great responsibility. It's exactly like when Spider-Man talks to Uncle Ben. We've seen this before.
Yeah. And then I don't even remember how he gets out, but I like the scene with all of them kind of like running around and like, they're all kind of split up.
Pretty sure he just like escapes when he and and the Beetle sync up totally. He just like breaks out of the thing.
Oh, that's what it is. It's Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows is there, and
the scientist guy who fucking racist bitch Susan Sarandon keeps calling Sanchez.
And
like it doesn't even say Sanchez right.
He's kind of just always been in the shadows throughout this whole time. We see him like with Susan Sarandon most times, and he's always just kind of like silently like, you can tell he doesn't like approve of what they're doing, but he's doing it.
Yeah, and then he helps.
Doesn't really come to a head till later.
While this is happening, the family is infiltrating the island, and this is just like just murdering people with machine guns.
Grandma going in.
Grandma with the Gatling gun and the guns on the ship.
Stomping them out with the bug legs and stuff. That was pretty good.
So they load not the assistant guy who is not Sanchez. He helps Jaime escape. First he's following instructions from Susan Sarandon. They put the Blue Beetle data into the Carapax guy's prosthetics, and he becomes Omac. Is this big like red mech dude, but then he helps Jaime escape, and then he gets like fucking stabbed to death in a surprisingly unnecessarily violent moment.
That one was gruesome. That one, he like splattered the window. That was rough. But I love that actor. He's on the What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
Really, I've been meaning to watch that. I've seen the movie. I have not seen the show.
The show almost honestly blows it out of the water. The show takes it in so many other places, and every time I watch a new episode, because there's a new season going on now, I'm always like, how is every episode? I'm like, oh, that was the perfect episode. And like after every episode, I'm like,
I need some new shows. Maybe I'll put that on the list.
It's incredible. And he's great on it. Everybody's great on it, but especially him. So it was fun to see him doing something else.
Nice. So then Jaime and before we get there, they're like, he's like going through the bowels of the island, and he like trying to regroup with his family. And there's this whole bit where like the suit is rebooting, and like it was stupid, and I didn't like it. that's all I have to say about that.
I feel like they were really like teasing him being like full Blue Beetle, because like
and then once
pretty much every fight, and then even once we get to that point, they're like, he can't use the suit.
Like he's Blue Beetle now, except he can't use the suit. It was like, and it's super
that
lame.
was especially weird, because we just had like the big thing with his dad where it's like, you can do it, and then he can't do it.
This is it. I don't know.
Just have him use the suit. Just do cool suit things, and
they needed to squeeze
all of them
5
in 2
minutes.
seconds. That's fine.
They needed to squeeze 5 minutes out of the movie to regroup without spending a bunch of money. That's what this reeks of. Like, because and admittedly, like action scenes in the Blue Beetle suit, like they are expensive because every shot is CGI. Like it's like doing Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like you can't do any of it practically. So it's there are practical elements to the suit. Like he's just wearing like basically some kind of rubber or whatever as he's running around during the scene. But you can't he can't fight. Without a bunch of CGI. But yeah, we get the moment of Nana with the big like Gatling gun, and find out that she was apparently a revolutionary. And then like her sister, or Jaime's sister finds like a thing that looks like a Nintendo Power Glove. But
yeah,
it has,
I think it literally is one.
I could swear that it is. Like, it would kind of surprise me, like if it was, but like it looks almost exactly this, like a Nintendo Power. It has a keyboard on and everything.
Yeah.
And she like makes a shield out of it so she can be bulletproof. And then she like makes a fist and she punches some people. And it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So they meet back up again and they run outside, and then Omak catches up, and then he can finally become Blue Beetle, and then he fights Omak. And then he's about to kill Omak, but then the voice in the suit is like, "Oh no, don't kill him! I saw his memories, and he's just a sad guy." And you know what?
Like a child soldier, and
there's actually some interesting material here that I think we should have gotten earlier in the movie. It was this is like a big punch in the face, like very. Like info dump, and I liked even some of the way it was executed. So it was like going backwards, like it would show that if the most recent event, and then cut to the one before, and like event starting from like as an adult, getting the prosthetics, like through being an adult soldier to being a kid, like who had an accident and like his mom died and stuff. Like it's all good stuff. It's just I did not like the way they delivered it to us at all.
Yeah, and I kind of like it too because it makes him like kind of Jaime's opposite, where it's like Jaime has this like loving family unit surrounding him, and this guy just didn't have any of that. So
he had his mom until she was killed by a bomb for no good reason. Like, but like. And then they have like the really clunky, like my family's not my weakness, it's my strength line that just doesn't really work. Like we didn't need, especially after that whole thing with Omak, we didn't need you to say that. Like you can leave that in the subtext. We all understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it works because he is kind of like a quiet villain and he doesn't say much. So you can kind of sympathize with him after all of this because he is just kind of like being used. But
no, he's just an
interesting character up until that point.
I agree with all of that. You're just like there, and they could have made us care more about him if they had given us some of this material earlier on. Like, just like that is a great way to flip it, though. Only hold back what happened to his mom. Just like, it's everything else we could have gotten a little bit like peppered throughout the movie. And then you save the big one for right at the end, as opposed to like, because it's not a short thing. This is like 90 seconds or 2 minutes of just like a big info dump about this guy that we know nothing about.
Yeah, because they kind of hint at it because like Susan Sarandon was always talking about like fixing him and all of this, and like we know something happened, but like this is a lot to dump at the end, and then you're like, oh, I guess I was supposed to care about this guy the whole time, and he wasn't just like a henchman. When she talks about like I fixed you and stuff, and then he's like looking at his arm, like that's when you cut in the thing about, oh shit, he stepped on a landmine, but and you do that 3 or 4 times throughout the movie, as opposed to just like right at the end. Yeah, all of it. But it was a cool way to flip it on its head. It just was. There should have been more.
I agree. Or like the delivery was just very clumsy, in my opinion.
It was a little clunky.
So then we get Omak has a change of heart, and he just like drags Susan Sarandon into the fire, and they blow up. He like sets off the self-destruct, and then they all go home, and then Jenny's on the TV saying, "We're not making weapons anymore. Cord Industries is now all about good causes." And they go home, and their home is still blown up, but all the people from the neighborhood show up, and it's like a big community moment where it's like, I've always lived in the South, and if somebody in your family passes away or something, like this family and friends just show up on your doorstep with food, like, and that's exactly what happens here.
It's like in Kanto at the end when like they're trying to fix the house and the whole town. I think it's everyone in town, and they all show up and help out.
And then, of course, Ginny shows up and says, "That's okay. I'm in charge of the big company now, and your lives are going to be fine." Like, and that's just like,
I do like that their town is like a very small, regular neighborhood, and then the city is just like this crazy,
like looming over them. Yeah,
Tron city. Like it looks like out of a comic book, like a very comic booky take on what a futuristic city looks like.
I like that too. It's very like, it wasn't Jaime or his family that found their way out of troubles. It was the
big corporation,
the corporation heiress that kind of just comes and fixes everything at the end, and that feels a little weird, but it is what it is. Like, it's a happy ending ultimately. It's just a little weird how we get there. And then of course there's a big dramatic makeout session with a lens flare because Jaime and Ginny they kiss right at the end, and then he flies her away because she has to go back to the house, to the mansion. And that's Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
What was hold on. Oh, and then we find out through a post-credit scene that Ted Kord is actually alive, and then he's somehow detected that they activated his equipment in the mansion.
Yeah, so I guess whatever sequel we get will be introducing him. Which I don't know, is that a thing in the comics that both of the Blue Beetles interact? Or
I don't know. Not in what I have read, but again, I haven't read a lot of Blue Beetle. Usually it's like Blue Beetle shows up in Justice League or something. I read a little bit of like the first volume of Blue Beetle with the New 52, and that was just Jaime. Like there's Ted Kord isn't in that at all. So it's
I definitely see the next one opening with like Ted Kord, Blue Beetle, like in the 60s, like fight scene doing cool shit. And then whatever they have planned with them meeting and doing other stuff. I don't know any other Blue Beetle stuff, but sure, why not?
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, I've said it repeatedly. It's just very paint by numbers. Nothing about it is offensive or bad. Yeah. It's just like we've seen every part of this movie before, and most of it has been done better before. Like it really nails the family dynamic, and that's why I think this movie's worth seeing, because Jolo is fantastic as Jaime Reyes, and his family is just a joy to hang out with for 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back on it fondly, but. I mean, at the time, I was like, some of it, I was like, all right, let's keep it moving. But
it has a third act problem.
Like it's
just like
but like
every
what
DC
superhero movie doesn't, and most Marvel movies really until like recently. But it's a fun time. I would recommend seeing it. I don't regret seeing it in a theater.
No, I totally agree. It's
a fun time.
Yeah, I went with like admittedly low expectations after The Flash, and I had a great time. It could definitely be better. It does very little to set itself apart, and I think that's it's really its biggest flaw. Like, we've had so many superhero movies with bad villains. That's just a trope now. That's just how they are. You know what I mean? Like, so that's something I can get over if the rest of the movie's really great. Obviously, if the villains are better, then the movie shines even more. But so it's any closing thoughts? Anything we haven't touched on?
I think we kind of hit it all. There's not too much to hit, but I think it was worth putting in theaters over HBO Max. I don't know if it'll be a bigger hit because of that or not, but definitely worth seeing. Definitely a fun time, and I think people will. I think it'll be a crowd pleaser. It seemed like one when I saw it, so I could see people really kind of getting behind this one, but. We'll see. I'd definitely be down to see more of all of these characters and see him get into some more like crazy antics that aren't as cookie cutter next time. But Yeah,
I agree.
All for it.
And you mentioned the HBO Max thing. I am now like, if this was this, and obviously when they increased the budget, like there were some rewrites that happened there, blah blah blah, to make it more like palatable for theaters. But like, I'm still just very curious, like what that Batgirl movie would have been, and how, like, could it have really been that bad? Because I don't believe that. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't
know.
I mean, I don't think it would be a great movie by any means, because none of these DC movies are really like this. I don't think it would have been as good as this Blue Beetle movie, but I don't, I'm just very curious.
Like, The Flash was a total flop. You're telling me people wouldn't have gone to see, like, if Michael Keaton Batman wasn't bringing people into The Flash, then maybe he would have brought people into Batgirl, and maybe Brendan Fraser as a villain would have brought people to Batgirl.
Except, there are pictures of Brendan Fraser's Firefly suit, and it looks awful. So it's.
But if they were putting it on HBO Max anyway, then like. I don't know. Maybe there was no point. I feel like nobody's like signing up for these streaming services based on like a one project anyway.
I mean, that's part of their. That's part of their thing. Like we've talked, or I've talked about this on the podcast with another producer before, but it's like they don't believe in big budget direct to streaming content. And to be fair, like all the streamers are hurting for money right now because they spent so much money on expensive content that they can't. There's no direct return. You can't tell, like with Blue Beetle or The Flash or any one of the theatrical movies, you can literally say we sold this many tickets and we made this movie made us this much money, and you can't do that with streaming. Like you can't put a pin on it that specifically. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing. But I hope James Gunn is going to right the ship.
Yeah, I feel hopeful, but and I hope Blue Beetle stays on the ship, because I would be I'd be down for more of them.
I definitely like I want more Jaime. I want more Jolo. You need to watch Cobra Kai. And on that note, I think we're gonna wrap up. So as always, thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to hear more, don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Brandon. I'm Engine25 at all the things, sometimes with an underscore. You can find us on YouTube and podcast services by searching Engine25 Reviews, no space in Engine25. We'll be back soon with a new review. And until then, go watch a movie.